You have found what lights you up. I'm your host, Sunny the Life Coach, and I'm here because I see you searching for something or someone out there to help you feel better. Something to take away the pain that you're feeling, the inadequacies. I know all of the things that happen in life can leave you feeling empty. Your search is over. This podcast is all about finding your own freedom and power to love yourself enough to shine in the ways you were always meant to, the ways in which you are already fully capable of. If you're ready for some real talk, some serious truth bombs, and a few F-bombs, you are in the right place. Let's do this. Let's get lit. Hey there and welcome. I am so excited that you pressed play on this episode today because of what I intend to share with you here. First of all, it is the beginning of a new year at the time that this is released. So, for all of my aversion to setting resolutions or creating goals to accomplish for the year, there is one thing that I do. And that is to choose a word and set my intention on that word, to really attempt to embody that word in everything that I do. And I started doing this several years ago, and I think that especially with consideration of the times in which we are living, this is an exercise that is simple enough and can carry you through no matter what happens. Because the thing with goal setting or even creating new habits is that sometimes external circumstances are going to come along and derail that. Case in point, my new habit for 2020 was to curb my use of Amazon. Like if I wanted or needed something, I was going to travel within a certain radius to find it locally. Trust me, the emissions from my vehicle are not going to come close to the carbon footprint of Amazon and its shipping practices, not to mention all of the packaging waste. Do not get me started. You all should know by now that I'm a serious tree hugger. So anyway, a couple of months into 2020, guess what happened? Well, Amazon became the place to go now, didn't it? I want you to know that I still did my best to curb my use and that I still do, but I think it's a perfect example of how setting goals or creating new habits for the year can quickly become derailed. To me, that one was all about being mindful and knowing that if I really wanted that new book, I could drive my happy ass to the local bookstore and get it. Support local shops, family-owned businesses. Now, my word for 2020 was focus. Did that shift a bit as our first year of complete and utter crazy unfolded? Why, yes, it certainly did. But the word and the meaning behind it is easier to shift than a whole damn year-long plan. Let's just go back to monthly goals with weekly detailed plans, shall we? I mean, we must have gotten accustomed to riding the waves of uncertainty by now, right? My word for 2021 was audacity. Did I embody that? Probably not. I allowed myself to be derailed from that while I was processing some difficult things and shifting around to where I truly wanted to be. I didn't fully abandon it, but I didn't keep it top of mind and it's at the center of my driving force as originally intended. And that's okay too. I'm still reminding myself that it is perfectly fine to be audacious. In fact, it can be so very rewarding. Now, this year, the word that chose me is joy. Before you go thinking, well, that's not exactly original, I want to challenge you just a bit in the way that I was challenged and is also behind the reason I just said that the word chose me. During a recent session with my soul coach, she suggested that we need to reclaim the true meaning of the word joy, that it does not, in fact, equate to happiness or exuberance or any number of similar emotions that we have come to associate with joy in using our language. In fact, she said it's bigger than we can even put words to. And she went on to share the experience of being with her dying aunt and feeling joy that she was able to be there for her in that part of her life journey. And that hit me some kind of way. I could connect with what she was talking about. It made so much sense to me. Yet, I still wasn't settled on it until I did a guided meditation with another coach that really led me on a journey of visualization. And we were told that if we did not have our word yet, it would appear through that exercise. And it did. Joy did appear. That word visually appeared. And so did journey. And I saw immediately through that joy is found in the word journey at both the beginning and the end of that word, in fact, which tied so perfectly to what my soul coach had said earlier in the same week, to the story that she shared about being present for the end of her aunt's journey of this life. And I thought, damn, that word packs a much bigger punch than our surface level definitions. Now, don't get me wrong, I intend to embrace and embody the jubilance of this life as much as the devastation, more so, in fact. That's literally what I am here for. To be reminded of this through such a simple and, yes, at times overused in a fluffy, feel-good manner, such a simple little word. Well, that itself brings me joy. So what I did differently this year was that I didn't use my intellect to choose the word as I had in the past, but I used my entire being. I didn't search for the word, I allowed it to come to me. I didn't try to pick a word to share on a future thread that would have all kinds of supporting comments of, oh, that's a good one. And if I'm being honest, I may have chosen words in the past this way. What's a really good word that not only resonates with me, but can get a conversation started simply by dropping a comment with only the word? I've done it. Full disclosure. What's so different this time is that I didn't even give any thought to how I would use it as my driving force. I didn't care if it could be a conversation starter. I honestly didn't even care if I chose one at all. I opened myself up and allowed whatever was going to come to me to just do that. And here I am. That share was not an opening to the topic at hand. It is the topic at hand. This is the perfect example of what spirituality means to me. It means being on another level of connecting with your true self and your place in the world. It is a deeper knowing of your purpose. It is incorporating your entire being into your daily life, mind, body, and spirit, your soul, your gifts, your intuition, your inner guidance that is divine in itself. That is the best verbal expression I can come up with now. I'll see if anything else comes to me along the way. That's part of my spirituality as well, being open to whatever comes my way, being able to read the signs and receive the gifts, being able to answer the whisper or the nudge when it is presented, being in touch with both inner guides and spirit guides. Now, there is definitely a Venn diagram when it comes to religion and spirituality, and I've had my share of friends and even family over the years start a sentence with, "I know you're not spiritual, but..." Let me be clear, I am very spiritual. I simply do not identify with any religion, and I don't feel the need to. That doesn't mean that for those of you that find religion very integral to your lives and of the highest importance, that doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. And by the way, neither am I. I'm not doing it wrong either. I know there are many religions that teach this is the one true path, and I appreciate that you may fully identify with that path and place all of your belief in that path. Nothing I'm going to say here should be counter to that. In fact, I think if you'll hear me out, you may be able to recognize ways that you could incorporate my definitions of spirituality into your life without creating any type of conflict within your current religious beliefs. Anything is possible. Just try to be open. So when you hear me talk about a deep meditation experience, perhaps you have found that through prayer, or when you receive the sign that you asked for, you may view it as divine intervention. So do I. I just don't call it God. You may hear me talk about the universe or source or spirit. We are all connected. We just may be on different paths toward that realization. You may find it in a church, while I may find it in nature. Yes, spirituality is fully connected to and aligned with religion. However, being a part of a religion itself is not a requirement to be a spiritual being. We already are spiritual beings, every single one of us. It's about being in touch with that fully, completely. And let's even look at the definition just for fun. I found this. Number 1, spirituality is relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul. Number 1. The number 2 definition is relating to religion or religious belief. Another word that I'm reclaiming. I'm also about to reclaim woo-woo as well, because I know people like to assign that to those like me who believe in the depths of spirituality but not religion. Oh, so you believe in that woo-woo stuff, like psychics and tarot and witchcraft and whatever you've decided woo-woo means. Well, let's look up the meaning of woo-woo just for funsies. The meaning of woo-woo is unconventional beliefs regarded as having little or no scientific basis, especially those relating to spirituality, mysticism, or alternative medicine. That's cool. I can live with that because there's no scientific basis for religion either. Perhaps we are all a little woo-woo. I see plenty of you trying out alternative medicine these days. Okay, I do. And mysticism can be fun. Maybe even joyful. What if we could view the mystical as being connected to the divine source? What if you're already doing that when you receive a sign through prayer? Wouldn't that be mystical? Listen, the things that are happening in our world, on our planet, and in our daily lives, the systems and structures that are being exposed and even broken down in places, these things are here to stay. The things that are happening are going to continue to happen. There's no going back to the way things were. We have seen too much already. We know too much already. We are experiencing a massive shift, and it can be a beautiful thing, even joyful. if you let go of the expectation that quote unquote normal means going back to the way things were. Normal is now. That is where we are. And I'm no longer willing to play a part or pretend that I'm just an ordinary life coach. I'm much more than that. I'm bigger than that. I am a freaking light coach. That came to me during my morning meditation. Light coach. Light. Oh, damn, that feels right. That hits me in some kind of way that is so very different than everyone else. And there's hella freedom in stepping outside of that box. And I got a little twisted the other day when I saw a post about life coaches in general not having their own shit together yet advising other people on how to live. It was actually a tweet share, I think. So we're talking a very quick, broad generalization within the character limits of Twitter. And I had to comment on that just so I could see the majority of commenters hold that very opinion. Okay, first of all, no life coach out there has his or her shit completely together, nor have they led perfect lives. That's not even possible. All human beings are fallible, period. At the same time, all human beings are worthy, period. Yes, even the assholes. Completely worthy. Just ask Jesus. Second, what a dumb thing to say. Yes, that is my personal opinion, and I'm keeping it about any industry or profession, really. What, you don't want to see this doctor because you found out he was once sick too? I mean, he can't be a good doctor if he's not in perfect health himself, right? Sit down, I'm not having it. Should some coaches probably not be coaching? Sure. But don't slam the entire profession because of it. There are plenty of stories about how the abuses that Amazon employees and contractors endure. But we still like our Prime and our one-click, don't we? Get on out of your glass house now. What does this have to do with spirituality? Well, I got on that tangent because I told you I am now taking ownership of the term light coach. And by the looks of this podcast title, it's mine to own. I've been hearing the whisper of light since I created this space for us, and I am loving it. I'm also sharing with you the ways in which I'm breaking away from the norms, the traditions, and the toxic structures, and that I can help you to do the same. The very reason I wanted to go with this topic today is because it's kind of a coming out moment for me. If you have listened to previous episodes or even been with me for a while, thank you. And you may have noticed that, especially over the past year, I have dipped my toe in the water here and there on topics that might be considered woo-woo. I have done that because those topics resonate with me. And I've never really come out and explained that they resonate because of who I am and what I believe about how this life works. How to put into words. For me, it's like having one foot on the ground with my arm reaching for the stars. I can live in reality and also witness from a perspective that maybe it's not. Maybe it's not fully real at all. Maybe it's just a dream and the real action actually happens in our dreams. Ooh, there's a wild thought. Maybe it's the Matrix. Maybe the real power lies in our subconscious. So while in the beginning we are pulling awareness to our conscious thinking and the results that we get from not understanding our own power there is an entire subconscious that is magical, wonderful, and can even provide answers through connecting with source energy. What if that could be true? Well, it is true for me. I have a knowing and I am embracing that openly with you here today. I am easing my current clients into some of these concepts if they are curious and would like to explore them. And I want you to know that if you would like to work with me, this is where you're heading. It's a wonderful place to be. It is a very powerful place to be. A place of knowing that shitty things happen in this world every single day. And while I will never claim to erase those things from awareness, I have also learned how to be in the shit parts of life and not allow them to consume me or to dim my light. Case in point, some things happened in my life over the holidays that didn't exactly unfold according to plan. Can you relate? While I did experience disappointment, I don't believe any of our emotions are meant to be avoided or bypassed. That part was fleeting. The disappointment was fleeting because even while in the midst of a bunch of bullshit unfolding, I was still able to maintain a level of peace and calm within myself. It was like bringing out the popcorn and watching a movie unfold and saying, "This is not my circus. These are not my monkeys." That level of knowing that this is all happening according to a greater plan, not my own, and everything is going to be as it is meant to be, maybe not today or in this hour, but everything that happens is leading me closer to my own truth. And being in that space while the shit was going down allowed me to open up to something much deeper and certainly more satisfying than disappointment. That quickly gave way to compassion, where I could just fully see that these other humans were simply doing the best they could with what they knew right then, in that moment. It had nothing to do with me. There isn't even a need for the disappointment beyond a gentle reminder that it is and always will be a part of the human experience. It is going to show up for me again and again. How prepared will I be to deal with it the next time and the time after that? That part is up to me. That is my power. That is my freedom. That is my light. That is my source energy. I don't want to stop feeling because that means my life is over. I also don't want or feel the need to search for ways to numb it all away and forget about it, to sweep it under the rug or pretend that it doesn't exist. It being anything that brings discomfort. By the way, shout out to all of you doing dry January with me. I do it every year and it is a hell of an experience. It does not disappoint. So feeling goes for not just the things that come my way, but the things I might avoid even trying or talking about, like what spirituality means to me. And to be honest, I don't think I have avoided it intentionally as much as I've wanted to find the words to say what I'm saying now. Simply because the initial topics of this podcast were aligned with everyday life challenges. Of course, I'm keeping things as relatable as possible, while sprinkling some magic fairy dust in there. Hopefully, the way I'm explaining it is making sense, because this is where I'm going and I'm taking you along on this journey if you are interested in being a part of it. I'm talking about the things that resonate with me that might sound woo-woo to you, and I simply ask you to keep this in mind. Every culture and every religion and even every society has operated outside the bounds of what was considered quote-unquote normal at one time or another. Every single one. Remember, we are no longer even living normal lives in normal times, and there is no going back to our blissful ignorance, our version of what we recall as normal. No going back. It's not about finding what's right or what's true at all, because there is no one thing and there is no one way. It's about finding what is right and true for you. What is right and true for me now is to add some spiritual flair wherever it works. That's why I think I'm going to pin this episode to the top of the list for a while. It's a really good starting reference to where I'm going in 2022. I'm not versed in tarot, but I am looking into it. I'm not an expert in human design, but I've learned just enough to be dangerous. I've gone from glossing over astrology with an occasional horoscope reading to embracing my full chart, my rising sign, and paying attention to the pulsing energy of the moon cycles. I absolutely love guided meditation journeys, being in that subconscious realm and having amazing experiences there. I love activating energy through yoga or chakra work. I explore physical and emotional healing through Ayurveda. I love Toltec and Native American practices. I truly appreciate oracle cards, and I have quite a deck collection going on now. That's deck, D-E-C-K. In fact, some days I will combine card pulls from different decks and arrive at the same message. Oracle cards are freaking fantastic as a method to communicate with your higher self or source energy when you aren't connected in a way to receive that through language, for example. Everything else I just mentioned I have touched on in previous episodes, so none of this should be surprising if you are a returning listener. But I have held off on owning my oracle cards, and I'm not sure why. Probably some part of me didn't want to be judged for that, but it's all good now. Feel free to judge. I've had a couple of decks for years and have really grown my collection recently. Not because I think one deck is better than others or provides clearer answers. Not at all. I have built this collection because I like to play around and experiment and see where the messages lead. And when multiple sources point to the same path, well, that's just reinforcing and reaffirming what you already know. And that is magic, and I love it. Subliminal? Perhaps. Perhaps that's how we operate anyway, through a lifetime of subliminal messaging. The difference is in making choices through awareness as to what sources you would like to receive those messages from. As Rumi says, my soul is from elsewhere. I am sure of that, and I intend to end up there. I love this quote so much because it works with spirituality and your chosen religion. I have only ever dabbled in religion, but I know that pretty much all of them have some version of an afterlife and consider the soul eternal. Well, guess what? I believe that too. I believe that we are eternal spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. It reminds me of another quote by the French Jesuit priest Pierre Teilhard du Chardin. Okay? Where he says, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. He was not only a priest, but also a scientist, philosopher, paleontologist, theologian, and teacher. So he certainly danced between the realms of scientific and spiritual. We all have that ability. We just think, largely because of what we have been taught, that there is a right way and a wrong way to do things, which includes what we believe and how we express our beliefs. But if you could throw out the notion of right and wrong, if you could release your hold on the beliefs that are limiting you, you're not only going to be a force of love and light in this existence, but you're also going to up-level your entire experience of said existence, where the world keeps turning and sometimes shit happens and people are still going to do their peopling. It's just going to be you having that fulfilling experience that you've been seeking all along by trying to change everything and everyone else around you. That, my friend, is true freedom. I am still developing ways to incorporate the spiritual aspects into supporting you and my current and future clients, not just through this podcast. Hopefully you can see where this is headed, but also through all of the ways that I connect. Social media platforms, my website, all of this under revision. So I'm not going to leave my usual links and show notes, but I will drop my email address. Reach out if you would like to get on my schedule for a chat. And right as I'm wrapping, I realized that I made a reference earlier to having one foot on the ground and reaching. Well, it just popped into my brain where that came from. You ready? Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. Casey Kasem. I'm dying right now. Those of a certain age will remember the weekly top 40. And oh my God, I'm just going to stop already because this is a crazy good note to end on. Casey freaking Kasem. Light up, shine on.